This video was sponsored by Easy Skins, link in the description below. Okay, so this is not a video that I was expecting to make right now, but you might know the Samsung Galaxy Note 8 sitting over here retails in the UK for about £869. Similarly, the iPhone X can be had for about £1,000, the Samsung Galaxy S8 Plus about £700. These are not cheap smartphones by any means. There might be another option you haven't considered. And this might catch you off guard a little bit because 2017 is actually a really good time to buy the Samsung Galaxy Note 3. Let me tell you why. Okay, so the Samsung Galaxy Note 3 is a 4-year-old smartphone, and considering the average person upgrades their phone every 2 years, that makes this 2 whole upgrade cycles behind. So on one hand, it is obviously not the best phone you can buy today, but on the other hand, that makes it very, very cheap. Okay, so with a quick search on eBay, I could find the Samsung Galaxy Note 3 in working condition at about £80. I could find it in good condition, the one I've got here, at about £100, or I could find it in basically new condition at about $120, $130. And actually, if you're from the US, you'll be able to find it even cheaper. Now, one thing to bear in mind is when you do buy pre-owned from eBay, it's not like you're going to get a full year's warranty. What you do get though is about 60 days to figure out if there are any faults with the phone, in which you can return it, so normally there's very little to worry about. So if that doesn't make you feel uncomfortable, let's see what else you can get for this price. You could get for £30 more a Moto E4 Plus that has a low-end MediaTek processor, a camera that can shoot in 720p and only a 720p display. Or alternatively, also much more expensive, a phone like the Wiley Fox Swift 2 Plus, which has a slightly faster Snapdragon 430 but a much smaller 2700 mAh battery, and still a 720p display. So if we compare those base specifications against the Galaxy Note 3, they're absolutely blitzed. This phone has a 1080p Super AMOLED display and a Snapdragon 800, not to mention a camera that is miles ahead and also capable of 4K video recording. Now, when you go down this road of buying a cheaper pre-owned flagship phone, you may be tempted to save even more money and go for something like the Galaxy Note 2. But actually, this makes a lot less sense. Again, we'll explain why in just a minute. So as we've just seen, competition at the £100 price point is pretty futile. But the main question is, does it make sense to spend 8 times more and get a 2017 flagship like the Galaxy Note 8? Aesthetically, it's a little bit plain. This is a couple of years before Samsung started getting snazzy with their edge displays, and therefore, of course, this lacks all of that functionality. It's also got a completely plastic body, which is nowhere near as premium as the glass and metal sandwiches we have now. But this is the good bit. It's not an ugly phone. It has a screen-to-body ratio of 74.8%, which is actually still significantly higher than the OnePlus 5, technically a 2017 flagship. The rear has a fake leather finish, which is rare. It resists fingerprints and it's grippy. Not only that, but it is much lighter and amazingly still slimmer than its 4-year later successor. Display-wise, the Samsung Galaxy Note 8 has slightly better color reproduction, slightly better brightness, and also a much higher resolution display. But interestingly enough, I found the best balance between battery life and display quality on the Galaxy Note 8 is keeping that phone on a full HD setting. And if you are going to be keeping it on that mode, which you would have to do for the battery to keep parity with the Note 3, then the Note 3 actually has the sharper display. Browsing through articles, the Note 8 has a taller display, so it can fit a little bit more content on there, but the difference is actually not as big as you'd expect. The other thing which is food for thought here is that below the display on the Galaxy Note 3, you've got your navigation buttons, whereas because these have been switched out to on-screen buttons on the Note 8, that means they're digging into your screen real estate. So in actuality, you're not really getting much more space at all. Now, one compromise you are undeniably going to have to make buying a phone that is 4 years old is less processing power. This phone comes packing a Snapdragon 800, fantastic at the time, but has been quite significantly exceeded by the Snapdragon 835 in this phone. So in terms of gaming, in terms of benchmarks, the Galaxy Note 8 is going to pull quite a bit ahead. But you'd be surprised how capable the Note 3 still is. I didn't have any compatibility issues, I didn't have any issues with frame rate, playing just about any single game. Benchmark scores, of course, are lower, but for the average person, it still feels like a pretty high-end gaming experience. And of course, the time taken to load your settings, the application boot times, the application load times, none of these are as fast on the Note 3 as they are on the Note 8, but they're not slow either. With multitasking, the Note 8, obviously with twice as much RAM as this phone, is a very consolidated experience. But the Note 3 holds up quite nicely, because of course this phone has been constantly updated for about a year and a half after its release. It feels very much refined. The software has become more optimized, the transitions have become more instant. Now also in terms of smartphone cameras in the last few years, we've seen some real strong evolution. However, it is still amazingly capable of 4K video recording. a spec that actually hasn't been exceeded by the Galaxy Note 8. Obviously the quality of this recording is not quite as good. There is no optical image stabilization here, but it captures decent high dynamic range photos, can still get up close to objects and get a decent amount of bokeh. It is very much exceeding what you could expect for £100. But this brings us to potentially the biggest catch of them all. When you are buying a 4-year-old flagship smartphone, what you lose is software. Whilst the Galaxy Note 3 over here is stuck on Android 5.0, what we have on the Galaxy Note 8 is Android 7.1 with a guaranteed update to Oreo. And since the Note 3 Samsung software suite has matured, the S Pen has become more ergonomic and more functional, and also it looks way cleaner now. But if you are willing to put the work in, you can use a third-party workaround to still get Google Assistant on your Galaxy Note 3. You can use a third-party launcher to get an Oreo-like feel to the phone. You can also install a custom ROM, which will allow you to take the Android version all the way up to 7.1, exactly the same as what the Galaxy Note 8 has. Now, when you go down the road of installing custom ROMs, you very much run the risk of voiding your warranty. But in this particular case, that isn't really a concern. So in summary, there are two main disadvantages with buying a smartphone like this. You're losing out on the manufacturer's warranty, and if you aren't willing to go through the custom ROM process, you are stuck on an earlier version of Android. What you do get for the price though is technically staggering value for money. You're getting a camera that is way ahead of most modern budget smartphones. You're getting a sharp and vivid display even today, and the performance here is still very much upper mid-range. Now, as we said earlier, when you're going down this path, the Galaxy Note 2 may also seem like a very tempting option. But for a saving of £20, you're essentially jumping back in time another further year. That doesn't make any sense. You're scaling back a 1080p display for a 720. You are pretty much halving your processing power, and also the camera is nowhere near as good. Not to mention this phone here is stuck on Android 4.4. So right now, the Galaxy Note 3 seems like a really good sweet spot. So as I said, this video was sponsored by Easy Skins. They've got a diverse selection of skins for a wide variety of devices, smartphones, tablets, as well as games consoles. As you can see, I've applied one here to my Samsung Galaxy Note 8, and the fit was surprisingly precise. And not only can you use this as a way to completely switch up the way your device is going to look, but it's also a means of protection. The skin will protect the body of your phone from scratches from all angles. Application is simple, the choice is plenty, so definitely check it out, link in the description below. As always, thank you guys so much for watching, it really does mean a lot to me. If you did enjoy the video, it would mean so much to me if you could smash that subscribe button down below. My name is Aaron, this is Mr. Who's the Boss, and I'm signing out.